This week, a missile from Gaza made a direct hit on a playground in Israel's south. Plus, the United States finishes construction on their humanitarian pier in Gaza. The war with Hezbollah on Israel's north heats up, and the IDF's campaign in Rafah expands. I'm Ben, and this is the Israel Guys. Welcome back to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Thank you so much for joining us once again here on YouTube, and also to all of our faithful listeners on podcast and Rumble as well. Guys, in case you've not heard, despite Hamas's best efforts, they have not shut down our summit, our Israel summit that's happening next week in Franklin, Tennessee, our new venue at the Ramsey Center. Dave Ramsey has kindly donated his center to host the Israel summit, and it's expanding to be bigger than we ever imagined. We have not shut down registration. We want as many people that want to be able to come stand with the nation and people of Israel to be able to come. So registration is still open and will be open up until the very last second, as long as we can hold it open. So theisraelguys.com/summit. If you still want to slide in at the last minute, we would love to have you. Also, we've opened up a very special live stream option. If you cannot come in person, we're hoping to live stream all of the key sessions, the key speakers from the event. So the israelguys.com/livestream is where you can go register to hop on there. Please be a part. This is a very, very important event for the Christian world and also for the nation of Israel as well. There's a lot going on in Israel right now. This last week has been kind of crazy inside of Israel. This last Friday, 14 rockets were launched from Gaza at Beersheba from Rafah. So for all the naysayers out there that say the operation in Rafah is unnecessary, not only is it necessary to eradicate Hamas once and for all, but there's still, honest to goodness, rockets coming out of Gaza. After all of this craziness that's going on, there's still rockets flying out of Gaza. And this last Friday, in this barrage of rockets from Rafah, one of those rockets made a direct hit on a playground. Thank God no one was killed. Thank God it wasn't full of kids. There was no kids on the playground by just sheer act of miracle, and no one was hurt. But can you imagine if this had gone the other way? Everyone relies on Israel's Iron Dome as if it's some sort of magic solution, and thank God Israel has the Iron Dome. It's God's hand of protection over Israel. It really is. But it's not perfect. Missiles still come through. And when a missile hits a playground like this, it's a reminder of just how grave of a danger this is to the state, to the people of Israel. This is a video that was put out by the IDF right here.
We are here in Beersheba in the southern part of Israel. As you can see behind me, a missile exploded in the middle of the playground. This missile was part of a rocket barrage that was launched from Gaza. Fortunately, no children were here at the time.
Israel responded to this rocket barrage by bombing both launch sites in Rafah and silencing them. Israel's moving full steam ahead with the invasion of Rafah, as well they should. They've already struck hundreds of terror targets and uncovered a number of tunnels and destroyed them. They've also announced that they're not backing down. They're not scaling down their operation. They're actually scaling up and are going to commit more troops over the coming days into the operation. They're planning on bringing more troops in to scale up. Troops from the Nashville brigade just this last week raided a Hamas weapons cache, or several weapons caches that were hidden in the Zaytown neighborhood. And basically, there's a Hamas stronghold hideout in a neighborhood. And when they raided this hideout to seize the weapons caches, they found tons and tons of, guess what? Stolen humanitarian aid that Hamas, can't say that we didn't tell you this would happen, but Hamas has stolen tons and tons and tons of humanitarian aid from their own population and has been storing up in their strongholds for Israel's invasion, so that if they have to fall back into their hideouts, they'll have the food that they need to survive for as long as possible, at the expense of Gazan civilians, that the intended target of this aid. This is what Israel's always been concerned about since day one with just the mass distribution of aid, is that it would help Hamas survive even longer in their strongholds, making the operation more difficult to take them out. Hamas shoots their own civilians who are wanting to get aid in Gaza. We see videos like this surface almost every day. There was just one I saw put out by a watchdog organization where Hamas accused 3 random Palestinian men of stealing aid and just shot them in the street, just shot them and killed them like dogs in the street. The video was public on Twitter. And this organization was able to track down the names, I guess, of these 3 men. And the next day, those 3 names were added to the casualty list in Israel's war against Hamas, the list that the Hamas-run Ministry of Health keeps of civilians killed in the war. These 3 men were added to that list. We have known since day one that this list was not anything to be believed, even though much of the media and the United States government and other governments around the world take it at absolute face value. We've seen how distorted it has been in the past, but stuff like this just cements it. We just cements what we already know. Hamas is a terrorist organization, not one to be believed, not one to be bargained with. They're a terrorist organization that needs to be destroyed. And Israel's doing their best to do that right now, and the world needs to stand up and show them support, not hinder them in this operation to clean out Rafah of the last 4 Hamas battalions that are stationed there, that are hold it up there. And that's what they have to do, and that's what Israel is doing, moving full scale ahead here in this operation. A couple of days ago, the IDF released a drone video of an UNRWA. The UNRWA is the United Nations refugee organization that's specifically dedicated to Palestinians. They have one for the rest of the world, and then another one for Palestinians. Go figure there. But UNRWA, as we've known before, is very corrupt and very much inside of Gaza, very much in bed with Hamas. The IDF released a drone video, a long drone video, that I'll play some of it here, of a UNRWA compound in eastern Rafah. You can see Hamas operatives roaming around the compound, just armed with weapons, getting in and out of UN cars. Marked from the air by UN cars. The building is marked as a UN building. And in the very end, you can see civilians running out of the building and a Hamas operative chasing after them, shooting. I don't know if he's shooting in the air or what, but he's obviously shooting and civilians are running. This is a situation that Israel's facing in Gaza. If anyone thinks that this is a simple war, it is not. A war between a terrorist organization and a state, a democratic state, is never simple, especially when the terrorist organization is embedded in a civilian population and you have all the insurgency of a civilian population connected with the terrorist organization. It's in bed with the UN organizations that are in Gaza, the schools, the banks, a lot of civilians. This is very, very complicated. So if you see, obviously Israel didn't bomb the UN building, but they could have. They could have, because these are valid Hamas terrorist targets, obviously taking control of the building, obviously terrorizing local civilians. But Israel won't do it because, of course, it would end up in the New York Times the next day as a travesty that Israel committed in Gaza. Guys, in a minute, we're going to get into Israel's war with Hezbollah heating up on the northern border and a couple other things. But first, are you looking for a meaningful gift that offers more than just words? How about a journey through the language of the Bible itself? 75 Hebrew words you need to understand the Bible is not just a book. It's an experience that unfolds hidden depths of biblical teachings through the original Hebrew words. This beautifully designed coffee table-sized book serves as both a profound educational tool and a captivating conversation piece. Each of the 75 words is explored through essays that connect historical roots, linguistic ties, and biblical theology. Ideal for anyone interested in deepening their biblical knowledge or engaging in the thoughtful discussion about faith and scripture. Give the gift of understanding to yourself or your loved ones. Click the link below to purchase 75 Hebrew words you need to understand the Bible today. So just today, on the 16th, the U.S. finished installing their floating pier in Gaza. You can see some of the photos of it here. Apparently, the pier cost a couple $100 million for the U.S. to install, and it's supposedly for bringing in humanitarian aid into Gaza, even though there's been a steady flow of trucks coming into Gaza for weeks and weeks, months, basically at this point. And it's really doubtful as to whether more aid is needed. And if it is needed, it seems like it's actually going to Hamas. All the videos I'm seeing coming out of Gaza are of Gazan civilians with plenty of food. The shuk's back open, the market's back open with a lot of food. But apparently the U.S. thinks it's worth spending a couple $100 million to build this pier so that they can bring in their own aid. And an interesting thing about this pier is that I'm seeing some discussion going on. And with some legal experts in the U.S. and also in Israel that kind of begs the question of the Biden administration has said that they want to bring Gazan refugees, asylum seekers into the United States. It's been leaked to the media that they have been developing plans to do this. Those plans just kind of so happen to coincide with building this pier that doesn't seem like it's really needed inside of Gaza. And so the discussion is this pier for bringing asylum seekers into the United States? Basically, what would happen if Gazan families showed up at this pier and said, we claim asylum in the United States. We need to claim asylum in the United States. Would the U.S. turn them down? And would this happen as a byproduct, or was it the intended effect? Pure speculation here, but we did have a reporter just ask the White House press secretary this, I believe this morning or yesterday, with the video right here.
If a family of Gazans show up at that port as asylum seekers, will the U.S. government turn them away?
I don't have anything for you on that. What I can say is that when October 7th happened, there were Palestinian Americans that were in Gaza who wanted to get out, and there were about 1,800 of them. We did everything that we can to get the ones who wanted to go out, right, who wanted to leave, and we did that. I can't speak to that particular question. I would have to go back to my team. I just can't speak to that question.
How many of the 1,800 did we successfully manage to get out?
I would refer you to the State Department, but there were 1,800 Palestinian Americans who were in Gaza. Not all of them wanted to leave. Some of them did, and we were successful in getting them out. I don't have that number in front of me. I would refer you to the State Department.
So not much of a response there. I mean, they didn't deny it, which doesn't make it true, but they didn't deny it. So there is that. I'm not saying that this is what this pier is for, but often, if we've seen, looking back on history, there is much more to these kind of things than what meets the eye. And we do know the Biden administration wants to bring in Gazan refugees. They're looking for plans to do this. And those plans kind of so happen to coincide with building this pier in Gaza. So we don't know. Maybe it is for purely bringing in humanitarian aid into Israel. But no matter how you slice it, it would not be good for us to bring in Gazan refugees into the United States. We have a huge problem throughout Europe with bringing in Muslim refugees into European countries. We're having that problem here in the United States, as we've seen on college campuses in Michigan and other states as well. Bringing in anti-Israel radicals into the United States, anti-American radicals into the United States will not end well for the United States. And a lot of people know this. Everyone except the Biden administration, it seems like. So on Israel's north, in other news, with Hezbollah, things have been heating up there as well. Been pretty hot this last week. There was a major rocket barrage earlier today, I believe, towards the Galilee. And you can see some of the impacts here in these videos. Hezbollah also apparently hit a sensitive military facility in the lower Galilee with an explosive drone. And the Israeli government has kind of put a gag order on that, but it seems like there was definitely some extensive damage done there, extensive damage. Israeli fighter jets responded by striking targets in northeastern Lebanon. There's been a lot of Air Force activity in and out from Israel into southern Lebanon. Earlier this week, several IDF soldiers were wounded by Hezbollah, and an Israeli civilian was killed. It's a reminder that this is real war with Hezbollah. That real war has been happening with Hezbollah since October 7th. And at some point, Israel will have to go in and clean house and finish this operation with them. The current situation is completely untenable. So we need to continue to pray for Israel, for peace in Gaza, the eradication of Hamas and Hezbollah. Iran, Israel's enemies, those that want to destroy the state of Israel, need to be subdued themselves, neutralize themselves. Pray for God's continued protection. Thank God for his protection over the playground for those kids that could have been there. Guys, don't forget about the Israel Summit. Registration is still open, or if you cannot make it, the live stream, theisraelguys.com/livestream is where you can find the information. The link is also down in the description below. Also, don't forget to check out Israel 365's 75 Hebrew Words book. The link is also down in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you have not already. We'd love for you to join our little community that we have here going. Also, drop us a comment down below if you have questions or encouragement. We love interacting with you there as well. As always, tune out the fake news and tune into what is actually happening here in the land of Israel. We'll be back nearly every day, Monday through Friday, with your direct connection to the land and people of Israel.